Hey guys, so just before we begin, if you'd like some support on your NoFap path, I do offer coaching, and so whether you need accountability, someone to talk to, or someone to work with, feel free to check out the link in the description. Otherwise, let's get into the video. So, to be successful on NoFap is a few things. One of them is to know how to manage yourself during the night. And I'm sure you guys know what I mean by this. During the night, you can very easily find yourself on your own, a little bit tired, just wanting to relax and wanting to take the edge off. And so your mind, it can wonder, it can start to think, what can I get away with doing here? And this is where we start to dip in awareness, right? We seem to get lost in this kind of tunnel vision where our short-term desires, they kind of take over. But one thing we can do is we can get ourselves back on track. And the way we can do that is by using this technique. Now, this technique is something that I personally have used for many years, and it involves focusing on your next day. And in particular, your next morning, right? And it's something that I call the morning visualization technique. So to understand this technique, I want you to realize that when you have urges at night, what you really want is something, right? And ideally a purpose or a reason why, something strong enough to keep you away from acting on those urges. You want something that makes you go, oh no, I couldn't do that. I've got my thing tomorrow. I've got that thing I need to commit to, right? You want something that keeps you on your toes. And so what I'm suggesting here is that your next day, and in particular your next morning, it's actually enough of a reason why, right? The more you care about your next day, the less likely you're going to give in to your urges. Because deep down, you do care about your next day. You want it to be good, right? You want to be productive with good energy, with a clear mind. And the last thing in the whole world that you'd want to do is reset all of this and make your life extremely difficult. So to simplify everything, feel free to try this technique that I'm going to explain here. So with this technique, there's two parts to it, and I'm going to explain it throughout the video, so do be patient as I break it down for you. So to start with, the basic idea here is that you're using the morning as leverage, right? You're leveraging the idea of the morning, how it's going to feel, and how rewarding it will be as a motivation to make it through. Now I will say, when you try this, what you're going to find is that part of you is really bummed out, right? And this is your ego. And it's going to be complaining massively about the lack of immediate pleasure. Because your ego does know that you could choose pleasure here. But for some reason, you're turning it down. And so definitely expect to feel what we could call ego backlash when you try and do this technique. And by the way, in these moments, you've got to remember these two things. Number one, no matter how much crap your mind gives you, do not give in. It's not worth it. And number two, always come back to the principle of when we pursue something that's very, very sweet, and I mean really sweet, in return, we feel really sour, right? Low energy, low focus, low motivation. Whereas when we don't pursue the sweet thing right away, what happens instead is our life becomes more sweet, right? Our dopamine is high and small things become more enjoyable. Now this is the spiritual reward of renunciation. As Gandhi said, renounce and enjoy, right? And so for you, what you're going to be doing is renouncing PMO, renouncing desires, and then you're going to be enjoying your life. So now to get more practical about how to actually do this technique, you want to start by imagining yourself in the morning, waking up, and as you do this, try to imagine yourself opening your eyes. And as you open your eyes, imagine yourself becoming aware of the decision that you made, which was to turn down the urges. And right away, see yourself feel this immense relief. Why do you feel such relief? Well, because it's the morning, and how you feel is sober, bored, and just completely disinterested in whatever was going on last night. Now you're just really grateful that you didn't listen to your lower self, because it would have meant a slip up, a setback, or a hit to your momentum. But now, knowing that you won the battle, see yourself get out of bed with a certain pride, with a certain energy. Now, it's not going to be crazy because, it is still the morning. You're going to be still waking up. But at the same time, be open to the possibility that deep down within your spiritual center, what's going to be unfolding within you throughout your day is this very pure and positive energy. Why? Well, because you've just made the best choice in the whole world, man. You've chosen your own happiness and your own well-being over your sexual desire. So if it's not obvious, remember that why we're doing this technique in the first place is because we are trying to ground ourselves in the reality that we know is going to be the case, right? We know that we're going to wake up in the morning and the urges will have passed. We know that we care about a good life much more than some temporary pleasure. And so we are grounding ourselves in what we know is going to be the case, which is this sober-minded morning time where we very much feel the effects of any of our actions the night before. Now, the second part of this technique, we're not doing visualization anymore. Instead, we're doing self-reflection. So we're looking back once we've actually made it through. And what I recommend doing here is to cast your mind back to when you were struggling with the urges and just ask yourself, what was I not seeing there? How come I was so attracted to that stuff? And what you'll find is that it was all to do with your level of consciousness, right? Your state of mind. And believe it or not, this is actually how you get really good on this path. It's when you integrate these moments when you are really unconscious. And this is because next time you're in one of these, unconscious states, you call upon this memory. You say, oh, I've been here before. I know what to do. I remember in the morning, I saw everything really clearly. And so in this way, you save your future self. So just to clarify, the second part of this technique is you gaining insights, gaining lessons by reflecting with a clear mind and asking yourself, what did I do there that made me slip into that lowest state in the first place? And what did I need there in that moment of difficulty? And of course, the answer, by the way, it's perspective, right? Which is what you are strengthening just by having this thought process. So if you can, do as much of this self-reflection as possible, because the more that you integrate these lower states, the easier it will be the next time you're actually in them. Finally, to end this technique, what I recommend you do is you enjoy and savor how accomplished you feel. Why? Because you've put in the work. A lot of people, including myself, by the way, talk a lot about doing the work or putting the work in. But what do we even mean by this? Well, if you really think about it, on this path of NoFap, it's moments like this. It's times where you are really tempted to go back, but you don't. And instead you win in those critical moments, right? This is the work. And if it's not clear what it is it's you nailing your self-discipline when you really need to. It's you staying vigilant and aware. It's you remaining cautious and mindful. And of course, it's you not acting on your desires. So to wrap up, feel free to use this technique if you like it. Admittedly, it does take a bit of work. It takes a bit of trust in yourself. But if you do visualize, you get through, and then you reflect back afterwards, you'll feel good. You'll gain insights, and you'll be doing yourself proud, man. So good luck. Do your best. And if you've enjoyed this one and you would like more, then my friend, please do subscribe.